Hey there, folks. Quick update March 22nd, 2026. Remember, if you're in the market, you're going to lose money. So be prepared, especially during these times. Today, we're looking at maybe we'll see a dead cat bounce. Maybe we'll see a black swan coming. Be careful. So, we're looking at NVIDIA now, and I've expanded this so that we can see going back to April of last year, 2025. And we can see the high points, 212, and we can see where we're at now. And at the beginning of the year, February, January, I sort of set this dotted line here, green line, and my thought was consolidation. Now it's a pretty good range here if you're buying options and you're selling them every week, I guess, between 178 and 190. There's still money to be made there, but of course you have to make sure that you're going to catch the dips and then buy it on the way up. And that's always, you know, a little bit more difficult. But going back to May, and from May to July, we had this nice run up, but you see that it is just running up with very little resistance. And the problem, as I see it right now, that it has now crossed down below the 200, is that support here, it's kind of difficult, and I'll tell you why. So let's see if we can look at these. See how it moved very quickly? So there's a line of support right here, 133. There's another line of support, 144. Pretty strong right here if you think about it, in lengthwise. Uh, and then maybe another one here, 155 and 164. The problem with the others is that, and I have to expand it. Let's see here. See if I can get that. Okay. There's a dip there at 164, 164, 168, 170, 171. Here it tries to come down and it hits about 174. And now, of course, it hit 171. Now it's up a little bit. This is, of course, as of Friday, and it does trade 24 hours, so it has moved up a little bit. And I'll change that to see where it's at now. But and where's the 200s are around 173.88, and so we're moving along nicely here. You can see the distance. This is the 30 and the 50. The 30 is the cyan on top. The 50 is the blue line. And here it just begins to consolidate. You see, it's very close. Obviously, it is because of the way I'm showing the whole chart. But when you look down here, you can also see the ups and then the downs, and there isn't really showing us any strength here. This weekly MACD is just showing us going to the bottom. So is this. And here we can't tell for sure that there's a divergence and that the price is going to go up. Um, if anything, I think it's going to go down. It's had good earnings, improved earnings, 105 in August, 130 here in November, and 162. Way, but look at the dividends. 1 cent, 1 cent, 1 cent. They're not paying out very good dividends, so not enticing people to move in. So let's take a look at this section now here, and we can go in a little closer now. And there's a small gap there. And so we're looking at 173 and 171. Let me take a look at the other chart. I have another chart, it's 180 days. Yeah, it doesn't show much difference. So we're at 173.16 at the moment. So it has moved up because it hit a low of 171 and it's slightly up. So 173.35. So it's starting to move a little bit up. Now, as you will see with the other charts, and Nvidia is no different. What I think will happen over the next 2 days, on Monday and Tuesday of next week, is we're going to see a move up. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to have some sort of news, and we could potentially see a little bump up. But what's going to happen is folks who are buying the dip are banking on folks moving up. Folks who are looking to exit their position are going to take advantage of any move up. And guess what's going to happen? If we have bad news, again, it's going to scroll down. And this is what we might see. And I say that because of these points that I pointed out where it's been trying to hit lows, trying low, and it just hasn't. And now here, it did do this 2 or 3 high, and it was off of earnings, but it was a one-time event. This doesn't show confidence. Had it moved up here higher, I would say that above about 191, I would say that this isn't downtrending, but this looks like a bear signal to me. It's just one low after another, and so you guys have to be careful that if you are going to get too excited and think that there's a lot of profit to be made here, it might not be there. So you got to be careful and measure your entries, and then at any point expect this to fall. So so be careful, and we'll see. Now, if it does cross the 200, uh, above the 200, then that resets the time on the 200, and then we're going to have to wait and see. We would have to have very good news, and we'd have to have oil obviously come back down. We'd have to have a gush of whales coming in and buying it up and saying, oh, the world is wonderful and everybody's getting back in the market. And I just don't think we're ready there. So, um, so be careful on Nvidia. Okay, so we'll pause it and move on to the next one. So we're looking at the SPY now, and the SPY has also been moving along nicely, very nicely, but it hasn't built, I don't think, enough of a support cushion, or maybe it has. There certainly seems to be a nice cushion here at 595 between 606 and 635. It's another nice one. Between 626 and 671, there was a nice cushion, but it already lost that. So now we're down here around 647 at the moment, and this is in danger here. So 638, and I had mentioned in my last video 646, if you guys remember. So that's a crucial point to watch, especially now that it's fallen below the 200, because 646 could drop it down further. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, if you go ahead and bomb the power grids in Iran, we can expect, I think Iran produces 20% of the world's oil. You shut them down, it's going to make it worse for oil. It's not going to make it any better. You may be forced into making them surrender. You may drive them to the brink and kill the regime, but the damage to the infrastructure is huge, and that means the price of oil is higher. Now, while we don't get our oil from Iran, the oil is a global market price. So if the price of oil globally for light crude goes to 120, 130, that's the price refiners are going to pay here in the U.S. as well to provide us with gasoline. And the price of gasoline for us is still going to go up. It's not going to make a difference that we produce most of the world's oil. Um, Folks are talking about the benefit that perhaps Europe might want to buy some light crude instead of the heavy crude that they produce, the Brent crude, at lower prices. But then they have to convert their refineries and switching, and that'll take a few weeks, if not months. And yeah, they could be buying U.S. oil, but that's just gonna make it sweeter for the folks that in the U.S. who sell oil. They're not about to drop the price of oil $20 just because Europe is buying all of a sudden 20% of our oil. So we can't bank on that. So be careful what you listen to and what you hear, because things things aren't right yet. So like I said, keep your money in your broker account. If it earns interest, you'll earn interest. There'll be other opportunities, and I'll talk about that in a second. But let's finish up with the SPY. So let's close in here. This looks like a very nice pattern, but it all pointing downwards. So what we need to look for here is 657 is the 200, and the 200 is still moving up. The 200 hasn't curled down, but you see the 30, which is the cyan line, and the blue 50 line, they are pointing down. So is everything down here. So is everything down here. A bad week, definitely. And from, well, bad months from December, we knew it was coming, and people were expecting it. Let's take a look at at this. So the current price right now is 647. And like I said, 646 is what I said, and it dropped to 644. So I was close. I didn't expect it to drop this quickly. If you remember, I drew up my line way out into the future. I thought the end of March or beginning of April. So this is bad news. And this was on the news that Israel bombed the an energy field in Iran. Now imagine if things get worse, the U.S. bombs all their power grid, and their oil production shuts down completely. It's gonna draw another one all the way down. So we gotta be careful. So folks right now are saying we don't know what to do. We're undecided. But what will likely happen is that we're likely to see a small retractment, because they feel that it might be at lows, and that we have to be due for a reversion and a move up. But folks are also thinking that it's going to move down. If Monday and Tuesday and next week, if the market continues below the 200, then we may be looking at a long-term drawdown of the market and falling back down, and we may just consolidate right here below the 200 for a while. The other thing we don't want to see is that belly pattern that you see when prices go way below the 200. And what we would expect is a little rise. Now, these are not relative, so don't tie me on these. Let's see what a more realistic what realistically could happen. We could see a nice little bump like this over the next couple of days, Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on what happens, and a nice bounce, but it may not ever hit or pass the 200, and then another for the week will falling back down, and then we might continue to consolidate down here, or we may fall further. So be careful, we're not, the reversal does not signal the fact that, oh, the market's going to turn bullish all of a sudden and climb all the way back up. If that's the case, if it goes down, then we're in for a long haul, because then we'll have to see a nice long belly here like that before it climbs back up. Excuse me. And it's got a hold up here, right? Because if it falls back down, then it isn't secure, and then it's got a hold above the 200, and then it might go back up again, and then we'll see the change in the market. And this is a very good pattern to think about with respect to no matter what you're looking at. Uh, I'm going to take a look at one thing I had not looked at before. It's just, what do you only look at the SPY and not at the SPX? Well, let's go back to the cleaner chart. And I'd assume there's no difference here. The SPX doing the same thing. So, and it falls below. And resistance lines at 645, 64.57, 62.85, and 6,000. And then below. So, nothing is looking good. This looks the same way as the SPY, so what's the point of looking at it, right? We close in. Again, same thing. We're at 200. Let's look at the current price. SPX is at 65.06 and climbing. So it's down here. And the 200 at 66.10. So it's 110 points away. So there's quite of a drop here. And again, what we might see is folks thinking that this is a reversal and it's going to be good, and people start putting out news and people jump on the news and it's climbing up thinking that it's going to go above and high, and then all of a sudden what happens is the folks who are holding begin to sell. And here's a good place where to talk about the news. The news is a catalyst when the market is bull. If you've heard the term buy the rumor, sell the news, this is what we're going to see here. We're actually not even buying the rumor. We're actually only selling news. So be careful if you buy into the news. Think about this. Let's say there's a biotech or a medical firm, and it's a U.S.-based company, and they've been working on a something that'll cure something, epilepsy, cancer, pick your choice. They're in a couple of phases, phase 2, phase 3, etc., the later phases, and they've shown some success. And there are investors that have been holding their stock, and the stock could be below $2, below $3. And folks, back when the stock was $2 and they first announced that they were going to do this study, these investors bought up hundreds of thousands of shares, maybe even millions, and they've been holding it, let's say, at $2. Okay, so Monday morning they put out news that they're in a phase 3, very successful, and they're gonna maybe even get a patent. In a bull market, we would expect that $2 stock to hit 5 or 6 very easily, with a lot of liquidity and a lot of retailer day traders jumping in with momentum. What we may actually see between Monday and Tuesday, actually the whole week, is if there is an upturn and there is news on an item like that, those folks that are holding that $2 stock, they're not likely going to hold. They're also looking at the market, and they're gonna see an opportunity that if retail day traders and those interested in momentum buying see the news and start ramping it up to 240, 250, they might sell out. take their profits. Especially, think about it. Somebody's got $1 million invested in a $2 stock and the stock moves up 50 cents. Well, that's a pretty nice penny. And what you're doing is they're not doing it for taking the profit. They're doing it to reduce the risk. The risk is that the market doesn't sustain or support a $2 stock, and by the market dropping, so will that stock down to $1.50, $1.25, and then puts them in the hole, and now they're left holding a bag for months. And the investors don't work that way. They're looking at time, theta, and they want their money. They want their dividends, right? So if you are a long-term investor and you're going to buy thousands of shares in a stock, yeah, you're looking at a few months. If you're looking at the hedge funds or the investment managers, they owe it to their investors to give them their money back. And they have to do it, you know, annually or every quarter or maybe even every month. So they expect positive and net results in order to be able to provide that money to them. And if they have a $2 stock with the market in this shape, moves up 50 cents, they're going to reduce their risk and put it into cash, put it into something else, and get the investors their money and reduce the risk that this falls further down and that it is going to take another year for them of that money sitting there without uh, earning any profits. So be quite careful this week. If you got a 20 cent uh, move up, if you're going to look for those, look for dips. Do not jump in and expect to jump in at the top of a breakout and that it's going to go more, because that's going to happen. Not going to happen. And especially, do not use the news. Okay, at this point, the news do not provide a catalyst. The only news that are worth watching at the moment would probably be anything related to what's going on in oil and in the Gulf, in the Gulf. But positive news from a single person, even two people in government, are not going to make a difference if what's going on in the Gulf is different than what the news is reporting. So we got to be careful. Okay, so let's stop here and go to the next one. So a bite of the apple. Look at the apple is it slightly follows the same pattern. A good move up, good the market's thinking, and there's nice support there. A nice area of support here. Nice area of support here, but it broke. And between where it's at now at 247 and 240, there's very little support. There's a small gap right there, and might want to, if it hasn't filled it already, 246. Yeah, it looks like it filled that gap, that little gap. Um, so it's kind of dangerous, and you notice that it follows the same pattern as all the other ones. And Apple as well. Look at the earnings: $1.65, $1.57 down here, $1.85 here. Look at this: $2.84. And look at the dividends: 26, 26, 26, 26 cents. So um, yeah, we have to be careful. And the same thing with Apple. If you're holding a lot of Apple, now remember there was a person who had a lot of investment in Apple, or a company. I think it was Buffet's Berkshire had huge stake in Apple, and they sold it off. How did he know this was coming? He knew it was coming. So again, the same advice goes for this. We got to watch it over the below the 200 and see what it does. And if we see a small pop, and if you're holding it, remember that, or if you're buying into it like in options, remember folks might be selling it out and not looking at it. Um, let's look at USO oil and long term. This has huge support down here, so at 72. So if it's gonna fall, it's not gonna fall past 70, 76, below 80, 72. So whatever happens, I think, whether it goes down or up, oil will come back, but it'll remain around $80. It's never gonna come back below 60. You can kiss your $2 gasoline goodbye, at least for the next 14, 16 months. Um, and right now it's up 125. So something must have happened since last night, since yesterday, because it was yesterday. It was I looked at it this morning actually. It was 119, and now it's jumped up. Now here it's starting to curve. People are starting to sell, and this probably has to do with the fact that people are expecting a little jump in the market, so they're gonna take the profits out of oil, dump it a little bit, maybe bring it back down to 112, and go jump their money into some stocks, take the profit, and then come back and invest in more oil. I think that's what's going to happen. Uh, Take a look at the VIX, and this one, uh, as opposed to the other stock market, which kept pushing down, this one has to push up, another push up, and here's a third time that it tries to push up. And of course, this was a big push here in April of last year. Look at that, 60. It was huge. So I think what we'll see is some consolidation here between 20 and 30. And if things go awry, it might come back down a little bit if we have a nice, this week, if we have a nice bounce, if the markets can uh, reclaim the 200, but then it'll shoot up back up again if anything bad happens. I said I relied on the NQ and the ES as well, and you'll notice that the pattern's the same. Look at that, and that's why it's important to watch these. It's sitting here in consolidation between February and March, falls below the 200. Let's take a look at what currently is trading at now. So it's at 23,983, and it has to hit 24,585. So that's a little less than 1,000 points. And again, pushing down, pushing down, 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 pushing down, and now really push down. And here's another one. So we have to be careful. And this one has a little bit of a difference. And I think this is the pattern we're going to see over the next 2 weeks on all the markets right here, trying to bump up into the 200, trying to reclaim. And if it fails more than twice, I think it'll drop. They all will drop. Okay, what other one can we look? Take a look. We look at Nvidia, SPY, Apple, USO, ES. ES is no different. Nice climb all the way up to here, and then we start climbing down. This one has less lower points, but it has now been making lower lows, and the same thing. What is it at? 65.36, and it would have to climb to 67.07. The difference is only 200 points, but and this one doesn't have a nice chart. Look at that, the MACD. Look on the NQ, it look up and down, up and down. This one looks like it's just headed downwards. So take a look at XRP, and that one is just a sell-off. And the fact that the 30 and the 50 are way below, and when earlier I said a belly, this is what I was talking about. The 200 stays up, and the price level goes down. It tries to come up. It failed the 200, and it comes back down, and it's down here. And I've got some old drawings here. So I sort of thought that it would pick up from here, that it would go up, since it tried here, and it got a little above, but it didn't hold. But since it didn't hold, here's the belly. And here, let's take a look closer. It looked like it wanted to curl up, but it didn't. So before we can see XRP return back to the 200, we need the cyan line, the 30, to go above the 50 and then start making its climb. And I think that's a long term, years. We can't see it now. Months, if not years. Yeah. Let's see. Let's take a look at BTC, because BTC was losing this morning. Yeah, same belly. Tries to reclaim, can't, falls, and now there's a curve downward, and it's at 67. Yeah, I bought what, 60 down here, with the low. So let's see if this doesn't show enough. Does this show more? Yeah, I need a totally different software to take a look longer. Yeah, I know I can change the time, date and time here, but I don't want to do that. I'm upsetting my default charts enough as it is. But BTC is curling right here on the MACD, which points downward, and our divergence doesn't look like it's going to go up. So looks like we need to see this go down and then kick back up again. Let's take a look at this this symbol. Anna was making a huge move, and when I talk about bellies, here it is. It climbs and then it starts pushing down, pushes down, tries to reclaim, cannot, climbs down, and then starts to open up this belly right here. And this is a small one, small difference, but it keeps continued down low to 231 from 18. Now it's down here, and at 275 it starts moving up. And you bet that folks that are up here on 713 on Monday are going to look at this, and they're going to say, they're not going to say, oh, let's buy some more. I think people are going to say, well, if you're holding it from here at 231, that's a $5 win. And if you're holding thousands and thousands of shares, and you think that the market is going to fall, the smart move is to scale out and sell it. So don't believe that things are going to go back up again for continuation. AZTR, we traded this one on Friday. I think I lost a little bit of money there. LANI, made money on this one. Made 24 bucks on this one. Let's see here. Let's see if we can. All right, so I made a little bit of money here too. A couple of cents. No, two hundredths of a cent. Yeah, bought $1.12, sold at $1.14. 200s. And so here again, the drop, and I think the 200s up here. There it is. So there's the belly. See how the belly opens up? And I was trying to climb right here. Couldn't hold, fell back down. It might try another climb because the longer distance between the 200 and the price line, it's going to force it to come back up again. I would not invest my money. If people start putting money into this, it'll be a pump, and so be careful. What else? Let's take a look at the RMA. Same thing again. Under the 200 belly. Made a little bit of money on this one too. 64.5 cents, or only 180 shares. And the price is starting to get closer to the 200. So folks who are holding bags and start to see price lines get closer to 200 and start to see move up, as soon as they see a move up, they're going to scale out. This one, Also made a little bit of money for me here. It's below the 200. Let's see. But this one's way too far off. It's got to consolidate. We got to have a better market bullish, and it's got to have news. This is a mobile health network. Okay, ARTL was another one that was making nice moves. And let's see, could move it. There's a couple of cents there too. You see here, drops the belly. Now this gap might be nice here. It might need to fill it, but it has to go above the 200. So right here at 1391, that might be a potential if it ever gets there. It's going to be tough. More than likely, it's never going to hit the 200, not in these conditions, and fall back. So, got to be careful. That's not even worth looking at. This is another one. Look at that. Same belly. Starting to move up. And I think that one's way too low. This one. Was this what? I think this was a IPO. I'm not sure. All right. So you've had my input. The most important thing to remember is that the market, the overall market reports still show red. They're starting to move up to 20% on some sectors, but they're all still red. And 20 sectors is more positive than 30%, but it is still negative and it's still in the red. So don't go overboard throwing your money at small cap stocks either. So be careful. All right. Hope the information helps you guys, and good luck if you trade. If you don't, then kudos to you for holding your money. Gorilla is out.